models mod, custom player models, and it's gonna be a really shitty tutorial, but it's what I have. Hopefully you'll get something from this, and I'm basically just gonna be chilling out here, talking with a friend of mine while I work, and then just generally explaining some of these things as I, you know, make this model. To first show you, this is what I have so far. I'll walk you through the layout of this. I forgot to start recording, so it's kind of, I've gotten a little bit further than I was supposed to. But I will show you the, let me go out here. Let me grab screenshots. Scroll. Oh, it's in my Discord, I'm forgetting. Alright, I'm back. But I am recording a video, so be careful what you say. It's not going to be a professional video at all, but it's definitely something. And then, we are making this gentleman right here, which is my Arc avatar in custom player models. So ideally, what the result we want to get is this fella. We want to make it look like this boy. Oh, I accidentally closed out of it. This guy. And we don't have I don't have a 3D perspective on him, but I do have this screenshot, and I think that's enough to work off of because I remember it. I remember what he looks like from the other angles of the 3D model. So I can pretty easily replicate it myself. And now we need to, look at that head. He's spooky. I'm making the legs a little bit more angular, as you can see, because I want it to look a little bit more monster-esque than the original. And yeah, I'm also here with my friend, Digitally Isolated, on Discord.
Happy.
They are very chill. They are currently cleaning their room, and that is all. So first let me kind of walk through the basics of what I have here already done. So the simplest thing I've done is I've changed the position of the entire model up by 9 blocks. You have to do this manually for every individual group. And as you can see, I can go ahead and change it. This is up and down. This is left and right. This is forward and back. And then I had the default model changed up like that. I'm going to make the forearms a tiny bit thicker, give them some big old claws on these arms, but most of it's going to remain kind of a vanilla Minecraft-esque style. When we go on to these legs here, you'll see that I have it divided in the sense that you can select the entire leg by just selecting the left leg layer. This way, it'll make animating a lot easier, because then you can move it at this one pivot right here, and it'll move the entire leg instead of just moving that individual cube. And you're going to want to make sure you do this. You can't just, like, make your cubes, like, all disconnected and everything, because otherwise animating is going to be a pain in the ass, and you're going to hate yourself for it. So, first we have the left leg, and as you can see, these little arrows here mean that it's connected to another connection. So these two aren't unimportant. That's just the skin layers. And then we have, ignore the skin as well. This skin's going to be completely changed. This is just something as a placeholder. And then we have this segment, which is the lower part of the leg. And then we have the heel, or the foot. And then we have the actual toes. And I go all the way down. And it look real nice. And then we also, we changed the angle of the left leg a little bit, the default left leg, to 336, and then of course moved it up by -9. I'm going to quickly go over the positions on these, and then I'm going to just start working and chatting with my friend, and then I will stop kind of narrating for the most part of what I'm doing here. We have this right here. It's connected, so you can look at the positions for there if you want to replicate this entirely. That's a position for the default leg. This is a position for the middle segment of the leg. This is a position for the foot of the leg, and this is a position for the toes of the leg. And that is all you really need to know. I might want to fix this right here, actually. I'm gonna go on ahead and... Which one was it? Yeah, it's that one. Change it to 2. No. 2.5. 2.9? Not quite. Let's go back to 3.5. What we were at earlier, because that, if we make this overlapping texture the same color as the texture beneath it, it won't do this little grid thing here. And the sense of these legs are going to be completely white. With some small detailing, I don't really have to worry about any of that business. And now I will continue with the model. So let's close out of these, and then going ahead and I could add some of the muscles from the original model, but I personally just don't see it fitting in. I don't see it fitting in with the vanilla Minecraft style very well, so I am going to start on the arms. As you can see from the elbow down, they're thicker, and then they have these massive hands with these big old claws, and the claws are golden. So we are going to get ahead, grab the left arm first, make a new cube while we have this left arm layer selected. Offset, change that to -1. Size, change that to 3 so that it matches the default Minecraft. And then you're going to want to make it about that long. And move the position downwards. Yeah, that's about where our elbow will be. If you want, we can make it actually 1 higher to make the transition a little bit smoother. Pretty sure I'd get rid of this rotation. 0. And we're going ahead and make it 1 thicker in all regards. 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's 4, so then we need to make that 5. And then change the position to... I like using decimals in mine, personally. That's just me. And that scale is a little bit off, so we're gonna change that to 0.5. No, that's incorrect. -0.5. Yes, -0.5 is correct. So now we have this thick old forearm, and we can work on the claws and stuff later. How you doing with the room cleaning over there?
Huh?
How you doing over there?
Good, I guess. Headphones are dead, so...
that sucks. Alright, let's go to 8 and 5. 5. That seems about accurate. And then you just copy the positioning. -2, 1, 2. Remember that this variable is not going to always be the same as the other one because it's flipped. -2, 0.5, -0.5, 3.5, -0.5. Alright, this one has to be positive because it's flipped. Or is it? -5. Trim that up. Yeah, about there is where we want to be. -3.5. And then we have it completely covering the old existing part. So we don't get any of those mean texture overlays that you have to sort out. It's just easier doing this way, because then you don't have to worry about the the other ways to get rid of the texture overlays, which are a little bit more complicated, and I don't personally know how to do them, so. Alright, change position, go down. Set that to being red. Also make it thin. Do like that, yeah, actually. That looks nice. Make sure that point is in the middle. And then we change the position. We're going to want to be able to fit at least 3 of these in here, so we're going to want to have it poke out to the side a little bit. And then you can duplicate. I recommend not duplicating in most situations, but since these are pretty simple, we can easily duplicate them. And duplicate.
So it's 85 right now, and it's supposed to be raining the next 3 days in a row.
That is mildly upsetting.
Yeah. That's why they're coming up, the landlord's coming over tomorrow, because if it's raining tomorrow, they can figure out where the leak's coming from easier.
Yeah, it's good.
At the expense of my poor ceiling fan is gonna get drenched.
Yeah. Next we add this for the claws. Move you down. Have it indented into the finger a little bit so that we still get some of that good old. Let's make this yellow just so we can color code it a little bit easier. Actually, no, let's go red. No, yellow, because then we can see the overlaying texture. This is where it changes it left to right. 0.3. Let's just put it at. There we go. That looks nice. Okay, to move, place. Let's change the position. I am recording. I am recording. Not exactly, no. Can we do this in a few seconds later? Yes, sure, please. I told you to knock earlier and you didn't, so that is mildly disappointing. Alright. Excuse me, that's just my mother figure. Let's duplicate, move, assign to this finger. Nope, that is not where we wanted to move it to. Place. There we go. Duplicate, move, place. And now we're going to want to move this a little bit so that it doesn't have the overlying texture. These side overlaying textures don't really matter all that much because we can cover this up. I've got to do some work real quick and then I will get back to you. Hello, hello, we are back online. and now we will be streaming more working with the custom player models. You probably haven't seen a break between these two pieces of recording because I am going to snip them together in editing. Again, this video is going to be very mildly edited because I do not have the time to make a full-on video that's very concise and very clear. So this is the best that I can give you. I hope you appreciate it. Going back, this is what we're working on. We're working on modeling this boy here in Minecraft. And so we go back to our Minecraft page, and we just finished one of the arms. We've got all these little cubes here. And then the tough part is that we're gonna have to mirror this on the other side. So right arm, new cube, duplicate, move, place. Oh, that's false. I have to place it here. Will it let me? Move, place. Come on, let me place it. Place. There we go, boys. We're getting somewhere. Alright, and now let's do the next finger, which is this one. Duplicate. Delete the claw real quick. Move. And place. And there we go, it's starting to work out. Grab the next cube, which would be, let's make this a little clearer. This one right here. Duplicate, go in there, delete this, because you cannot move folders in this version. Place. And then we go to the last one, which is the thumb. Duplicate. Remove that. Move. Place. And then we're gonna have to change the angle of this cube right here real quick, or the position of it. There we go. And it's looking snazzy. Now, I don't recall what the color of the hands were. The hands are just white, with an optional wristband around them. So, hands with with golden claws. So this should be relatively easy for us to texture. We don't have to worry about overlapping textures because it's just going to be white. And now we can move on to the other bits. Now you want to expand all of these. Duplicate, move, place. Duplicate, move, place. Duplicate, move, place. And then lastly, duplicate, move, place. Now you can see their position on the on that one scale right there is not correct. So we're going to have to edit that. Collapse this. We're done with that arm. We need to edit these arms. Position. Nope. There. Position to negative 1.7. 7. Now that is a little bit further out than the other side, so we're gonna have to edit that. Change that 7 to a 3 in all of these cubes. And there we have it. We got them claws in. And we got the paws finished. So he has these big, meaty claws, of course. And I just realized we have forgotten to do the claws on the feet. I feel as though they are small enough that I think we can just texture them in. So don't worry about the feet for right now. Let's go to left leg. Perhaps make these feet a little bit bigger so that they have more room. 5 for more texture. There you go. Got some nice feet going. Just a little bit bigger on the other side. And we got the perfect symmetry going on. And symmetry is important, but it's not absolutely mandatory. If you have an asymmetrical character, it is recommended that you model it asymmetrically, of course. And only worry about the symmetry when it comes to the basic shapes. I might fix this little texture error here, but I doubt that I will. It seems like a lot of unnecessary work for something that somebody's probably not going to see on the model. This is not a model commission, this is just a model that I'm making for myself personally, so don't stress too hard about it. Next, we are going to want to do either the head, the wings, or the tail. I would recommend the head because it's already on our default. So let's zoom in, look at that. On our reference. Now it has these really complicated horns and this really complicated hair. So we have to break this down to the basic shapes and take off the neck. The neck we will do later. For now, we're going to want to do a cube here, a cube here, a cube going out here, and then we probably want this cube to go back all the way there. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to want to make a new cube on the head layer. We want to go probably, no, not any offset. Probably about that thickness. No, because that's not symmetrical. There we go, that thickness is okay. We want to move it up. And let's see, there we go. Maybe not change the offset because we might want the jaw to be able to move in further animation. So let's move the position forward instead. Make sure that that movement point is right in the middle. Perhaps make this a little bit longer. There we go. That seems more appropriate. And we might also want to move the head up a bit to compensate for that neck, as well as a little bit forward. Now we're going to want to make a new cube, possibly on the head or on the body. That is the question. Let's do it on the body. Alright, so new cube. That's perfect. It's in the right position. Offset. Now he has a very fluffy neck, so we're going to make this bigger than it normally would be. And about like that. That seems about appropriate. Make sure you change the texture to something other than black so it's a little bit less confusing when you're modeling. I usually go with red. And so far, we are looking pretty close to our reference. As you can see, we got the big throat pouch going. The big throat fluff bit. And next, we have to do another basic shape. So let's start with the bottom jaw. Alright, so we'll duplicate this. And we'll move it down. Make it one thinner. Move it back. No, back. gonna want to rotate it about like that. That was a mistake. About that much. Maybe a little bit more if you want a more open jaw. And I kind of want a little bit more open jaw because I want to show off them teeth, of course. Alright, duplicate, move, place. Alright, let's fix, so the point isn't exactly there. We're gonna want to fix that, so move that down. Move you, no, not there, up, and back. And set the rotation to it looks about the same. Move it back a little bit more. Bip, bip. And then we thicken it. Bip, bip. Change the offset by 1. And there we go. We got a nice little jaw going. Let's edit the position just a tiny bit. There we go. That looks a bit more appropriate. Now let's say you wanted the hole in the mouth to go all the way back to the default head, so we don't have that little weird blockage there. We just turn that down to 1 and duplicate it and change the offset of the other one. And there you go, looking a little bit like a duck right now, but that's okay. Every dragon starts out as a little duck. At least in my models they tend to. Make it a little bit further forward, and then let's make it a little smaller, like that about. Here we go. That looks a bit more suitable. And we'll label this part the jaw. Back to root, take a peek at it. That looks pretty okay. Not the best, but pretty okay. I think that's acceptable. Guess we're going to go over here. Probably new cube for this one. Because it's going to be very different from the previous cube that we did. Now we're going to rotate it this away. That looks about right. Position. Bip, bip, bip. Bip, 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 bip. Move you up. And that's about where the eyes are going to be. We might want to rotate this a little bit more, make the head a little bit more angular. Yeah, a little bit more like, let's say like that. That seems about appropriate. I'm going to change this to color red, duplicate it. And then we're going to want to get the reverse of that rotation. This part can be a little bit difficult. If you want, you can try doing the math, but it usually doesn't turn out right, at least for the way that I do it, so I usually just go by eye with this part. I'm going to try to get that straight, like that. Offset, bip, 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 bip. Doesn't matter where the pivot is on these because they're not going to be moving, most likely, unless you plan on having them moving, which would be kind of weird, but, you know, you do you. say we move it forward like that. Test it. Move it up one. That's about right. Let's go ahead and duplicate these again to make the cheeks. Put this on. Alright. Now let's put them out a little bit. Change the rotation. Be slightly different. This guy does have some cheeks on him, so we're gonna make that evident. 300 seems like a good number. Let's change the size down and then change the offset a little bit. Have it about like that. 4, 4, duplicate. Alright, so 300 is 60. So let's change it to 60. And that should be not quite right. I'm going to want to edit it a bit until it looks like it's this line here needs to be symmetrical with this line here for it to be accurate. That's about right. Let's change the offset. Check the root. It's looking pretty okay. Made his cheeks a little puffier than they would be normally, but I think it's cute, so I think we're good. And then pop the offset. Now, this is not going to be exact, and I'm sorry for everybody who has a problem with that, but I still think it looks quite nice. But that is just me. Alright. Let's change it so it's covering that cube a little more. 1, 2. Yes, 1.2. Here we go. Much better. And you're wondering, why does the boy have such a big forehead? We don't want a forehead that big. That would be crazy. Well, you gotta think about this. So we could potentially have it like a little brow moving up from there to there. And that might look very nice. So let's test that. This may not be permanent. We're just testing. Duplicate. Get rid of all these extra cubes. Could we just want that cube right there? And we want to change the rotation of it. I'm guessing about there. Let me change the position. Oh, we might actually want to do it like this. Put that like that. And then make it a little bit longer. So that we can get a bit of nose action going on there. Yeah! Oh, it's pretty good. Look at our reference image. Looks pretty accurate. And then we go up to here. We have to make the brows now. So we move these up a bit. Make you have them popped up out a little bit more. Duplicate. And there we go. Let's say that's just about accurate. I'm going to want to duplicate this again to smooth things out as they transition back to the head. the rotation until it's a nice, smooth blending from that cube back to that one. Makes it look like cheek fluff a little bit, actually, which is kind of nice. And we've got a nice little structure going on here. We've got a nice little place for that little nose. And yeah, I'd say it functions pretty okay. Now I might want to make the mouth a tiny bit more open. Let's see if we can... 2.3, 4, 5. Let's look at that. Yeah, now you can see inside the mouth a little bit more. It's not totally accurate to the mouth shape, but I think it looks pretty good. That's just me. Now, I'm not too happy with the thickness of this jaw down here, so I'm going to alter that to a 0.5. There we go. 0. There we go. Nice and thin. Now, I might want to change it to a 0.5. 0.5. 2.5. There we go. That looks a lot nicer. Alright. Let's take... Which cube was it again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That cube. Duplicate. Change the rotation. Change the position. Go to root. Looks pretty okay. Looks about symmetrical. And there you have it. Now you're also going to want a little cube for the teeth layer. That's where things get a tiny bit complex. I'm going to duplicate that. We're only doing bottom teeth because it's more stylish. Back like that. Change the offset by about 0.5. About 1.5, yeah, that looks good. Duplicate. There we go, we have some teeth going in there. And we need the front teeth as well. So we're going to duplicate that. And about like that. Go back to root. And it looks rather nice. Now we should start probably on the horns. So we'll go to here, duplicate, move you up, make sure I'm still recording. Yes, I am still recording. Move you up. Not like that up. More like this kind of up. There we go. Move it back 1. There are a couple of things. Change the rotation. Change that positioning a little bit more. Duplicate. Do the same trick as earlier. I'd say that looks about right. Change its position, of course. And that rotation still needs to be edited a good bit. Position. Let's change this to a 0.5. Here, 0.5. There we go. Looking snazzy. Duplicate. Duplicate. Rotate. Make it a little bit thinner. Like that. Change the position. About to there. $270. That's pretty easy to remember. We duplicate that. Change the position. And we have some horns getting started. And we might want to alter this position going up and down by like about that much. I always forget which values are different directions. Alright, and then we duplicate these one more time. And make it one thick and one wide. Change the offset or the position, doesn't matter for this one because we're not going to be rotating the horns at all. Duplicate them. Change the position. And there we go. We got those nice horns going in. This character's name is Gyther, by the way. Gyther. That explains the little name up there. Now the tail I'm not excited to do. You cannot see it very well in this photo, but it is a Reaper tail. So it has many, many spines, many, many little spikes and joints and whatnot. And it is going to be a challenge to work with. I'm going to see how much I can simplify it down. Probably not very much, but we will hope that we can simplify it down a pretty good amount. The wings will also be a little bit complicated. And then it has these all extra horns. This one curling down there, this one curling down there. So we will need to do those as well, along with the hair. So let's duplicate that. Move the position. That seems to do the exact same thing. We need to rotate it on the blue axis. It seems to rotate on the red, both this and that. This is pesky. Yeah, that moves. Now this I'm kind of just winging it because I honestly don't know what's going on with the axes here. 3D modeling is not my strong suit, but I do this as a hobby. Duplicate. Change the position. I am recording. Interesting. Those both seem to be moving along the exact same axis, when really we should probably rotate this in a way that we can move it along the green. You forward and to the side. Being quite pesky indeed. Oh, I see. Okay. There we go. Duplicate. Oh, this is going to be hard. is the wrong quantity. Rotation. I think that's about as close as we're gonna get it. Well, almost. Check on it. Yep, that's about as good as we're gonna get it. Really depends on how much work you're willing to put into it, but for me, that quantity is not too much. Duplicate. There, this one should be slightly easier to do. This one might have just complicated itself. Well, I guess we'll be putting this on the opposite of the intended side, because it is being pesky. Duplicate. bring it back to its most default position. Why can't I just rotate it on the green? There we go. That semi-works. Getting closer. Alright. That's about as good as we're gonna get it. Well, perhaps I can edit it a tiny bit. These horns are rather complicated, as you can tell. That's pretty okay. That's pretty close. So we have those horns curled around. Then we have these horns that go curl in on the neck. Let's put a new cube in there. Nope. Head, new cube. Starts kind of a little bit upper, more like that. 5.5, no, 4.5. That's a little bit better. Let's color label these now. So you're the start of that horn. You are the start of that horn. You are the start of that horn. These cubes are all disorganized, but trust me, it'll be fine. delete that. And we also had an extra cube on this brow. Not that. Up here. So we will delete that as well. Make sure we're still recording. Yep, we are still recording. Excellent. Yellow. Color this yellow. Don't worry, it won't be obnoxious colors eventually. It'll be all pretty soon. Duplicate. There we have it. Looking nice. Next, we have to render the hair. Make sure you save your project a lot, because you don't want to lose any progress. Head, alright. Let's duplicate that. Make a new thing called hair. Not with caps. This in black because that is the color of the actual character's hair. Actually, no, let's level it in blue so it's a little easier to see. Let's just duplicate that. Change to the position. a little more extravagant. Give ourselves a little bit more room to work with. There we go. Now we got plenty of room to add fluff. File save. The animations. Let's just take a peek-see at these. Standing. Non-additive. Pose, walking, non-additive. Hold on a moment. Oh, we do not want this to be additive. Okay. Non-additive, walking. It's not supposed to be additive. It's not even labeled as additive. Yet it is. Oh well, I suppose we'll have to work with that. Give me a moment. Alright, I'll be back in a few. Hello there, this is part 3 of the using custom models tutorial, or whatever this is supposed to be. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to show you how to make the custom models, and we are now currently at this point in the work. We have not done the tail and we have not done the wings. Once we have done with those two things, we will be able to start on the texturing. Alright, so we're done with the head, done with the legs. Next part is the tail. Duplicate. Move that in the middle. Move it up. And rotate it to approximately there. No, we're not going to want to duplicate that. Add a new cube in there. Make this about the same size as this one. Maybe a little bit thinner. And then you rotate it. Making tails is generally pretty easy. Duplicate, move, place. Let me change the size to, let's say, 2. Center it. duplicate, move, place, duplicate, move, place. That looks pretty solid. We'll change that to 1, the offset at 1.5. 0.5. And that is correct. And then we duplicate, move, place, and then we shorten this. Make it thicker. 5. Make it a little bit shorter. Make it a little bit wider. Let's move over here, get a good look at it. Test real quick. I was just testing something. And then we move to put that down to 0. Move it up. Make it a little bit longer. Perhaps a little bit thinner. 5. 2.5. Duplicate that. Require some work because it's all crooked for whatever reason. Need to move it on the blue axis. Let's just delete that one. Make a new one. Still do the other side. Set. Seems to be the rotation of the green one, but it's not perfect. So we go back to 0, 0.0. troublesome this is. There we go, that's pretty good. Oh, not quite. $12.7. All right. Not yet. Classic 79, 12. And we bib that up by 1. Change that to 14. And there we go. Now we have space on here for the spines. Now, it's not going to look like a straight row like this. That's something I should have clarified earlier with the hair, is that you do parts of the texture transparent, so it looks like fur or fluff. And for the spines, we'll also be doing the same thing. We'll make parts of this texture transparent, so it's just the outline of the spines. So we're done with the tail, right? We should probably highlight the spines a different color. Let's go with that. we go. Got a pretty good model so far. A little bit tempted to delete those cheek blocks right there. And I also want to do this with the legs. Two. No, let's just do it by one. There we go, that looks a bit nicer. And then we go up to the head. No, hide those. Let's try deleting that. Yes, that looks much better. The face is a little too fat for me. A little too flat. There we go. Now it's a little bit more narrow. And I think that's good for right now. Next we will have to do the wings. Let's do it as a branch off of the body. Let's label this left wing. Match up. Okay, so it's on our left. Got it. Alright, so 12, 3, 2. Get that. Change the offset, not the other bit. Not position. It has to change the offset because you want this axis to still be in the center. Duplicate, move, place. And we change the position this time. Let's see how far out we can go. About to there. Position to 10. Duplicate, move, place. And these are bird wings, so they're a little bit easier than the other dragon wings that we would have done otherwise. Or bat wings, they're also called. And there we go. Color the wings, let's say green. Let's do different segments, different shades of green, possibly. Yes, let's do different shades. Set. Not quite. A little bit lighter. Need a stronger difference. There, the middle one will be a different shade. so we can tell them apart a little easier. There we go. Now the more tiresome part. Not duplicate. New cube. Let's put it at 10. 12. Lower it down. Duplicate. Move. Place. That seems to be a struggle. I want it set back about as far as it can go. Not with offset, but position. You still want that axis to be right there. Because you're only going to be one plane you're going to be moving this on. You're not going to be tilting it away from the wing. You're going to be tilting this edge right here up and down with the animation. So, don't worry about fucking this part up. Cube. Offset. There we go. Let's make it make it 0 blocks thin, because we don't want to have to texture worry about both sides. I made the mistake of worrying about both sides when I worked on a previous wing texture, and it didn't turn out very good. Duplicate, move, place. Duplicate, move, and place. Offset. Maybe we'll change that to be a little bit wider. About at a 12. Duplicate, move, place. Duplicate. Duplicate, move, place. Change that to green. Turn that to 10. And then, right. Duplicate that. Change the position. these to light green so we can tell the difference a little bit better. Because in the next step in making the wings is going to be a little bit more complicated. Though it should be pretty easy to follow along with. So it goes up like that. That is how the hierarchy goes up. We're going to want to have that at default. This at not 1, 0.3. No, okay, so it's more like this at 3. And then for corresponding little bit here, we're also going to put this at 2.3. Well, an additional 0.3 to what it originally was, of course. That was false. 2.3. And then the very wingtips, we do some -3. So it's 0.96. Negative? Yes. And now we won't have those nasty overlapping textures anymore. Looking pretty snazzy, huh? And then next, we get to move on to texturing. So I will go on ahead and save this part of the project. Go up here, File, Save. And I will stop my recording, and then I will start recording when I'm ready to start the texturing process. See you in a bit. Hello, hello! We are now doing the segment on complex textures, aka if you have a texture that is more than just a simple color. So you see this mode color, and then there's mode texture. I'm going to teach you the difference between these two modes, and how using the texture mode can help benefit or weaken your project. First of all, let's subtract all of this, make it look really basic, so you can see we have our model here. It has wings, it has a long tail. This was the texture, or the model we were basing it off of, which is a very simple Ark character from Ark Survival Evolved. And this is our Minecraft model version of it. So now we are going to start the texturing. Now wait, don't just click on texture. There's something you have to do first before you can start doodling all over yourself. Go to model, go to head, and you're going to want to go through basically every single one of these cubes here. Hat, head. You're going to want to go to skin settings, new skin, copy old skin. I believe I will have to look up the proportions again real quick. Save it, exit, open skin editor, load, player models, dragon.cm project. This is an example of a finished model of mine with a low scale texture, a very vanilla-y Minecraft texture. Now if we go to the texture skin settings, it is 320 by 320, 64 by 64, 320 by 320. Now this is a maximum size that you can possibly get. So I usually go for the max size if I can. 320 by 320. Texture, skin settings, new skin, 320 by 320. Copy old skin. And then you're going to want to convert vanilla parts. Or was it before that you convert vanilla parts? I don't entirely remember. I'll have to get back to you on that. Let's do, effects, edit, convert vanilla parts first. And then let's try... Still has vanilla skin parts enabled. Okay, convert vanilla parts. 320 by 320. New skin. Copy old skin. 320 by 320. Still has vanilla parts enabled. That's not supposed to be a thing. Let's go to model. Convert vanilla parts. Edit, convert vanilla parts. Body, edit, convert vanilla parts. Left arm, edit, convert vanilla parts. Right arm, edit, convert vanilla parts. Left arm, edit, convert vanilla parts. Edit, convert vanilla parts. Normally you can just click vanilla parts and it'll automatically do the process for you. However, it doesn't seem to be functioning that way currently. 320, new skin. 320 by 320. And let's try not copying the old skin. Alright. Now we go to model. We still have the issue where these skins are too large for the texture sheet. Yes, as you can see, these are way too big. More parts. Still not working. Skin. 320 by 320. Copy old skin. How does it still have vanilla parts enabled? I've done convert vanilla parts a billion times. Alright, let's save. Let's exit. Let's reopen Minecraft. Sometimes the program just glitches out like this and you have to restart it. It's a pretty common error. Either that or I was being stupid and I did something wrong. Either way, I usually can just click convert vanilla parts and it does its job. But I believe that we had an error there, so I'm going to restart my Minecraft and I'm going to load up a fresh copy of the editor. Not entirely fresh, I'm not going to re-download it. Because it's usually just restarting your launcher and your, not your launcher, your Minecraft fixes the problem. Go to reference sheet again. Orange underbelly, orange webbing, black all around. Alright. We will add more components to the model if we have space on the texture UV sheet. But if we don't, we will maintain the parts that we already have. Alright, load. Player models. Gyther. Okay. Edit. Convert vanilla parts. File. Save. Texture. Skin settings. New skin. 220 by 20, copy old skin. Still has vanilla parts enabled. Now this is confusing. Delete skin. Alright, now we're back at Alex. Settings. It seems that it's not registering that skin, so it's possible we might have done it correctly. And no, we're having the texture glitch, which is something I've also experienced. New skin. Do not copy old skin. 320. 320. Okay. still has those parts enabled. E2. By 3. I'm just curious to see what this does. Root. Change it to red. And this indeed seems to be a very tiny texture sheet. Alright. Head layer. And the UV is nice and small. That may still be an issue for us because the texture sheet itself is now small. Settings, new skin, 20, no, 8 by 8, 320 by 320. Let's check the head is still tiny up there. So that is good. But our texture sheet itself is massive, which is also very good. Let's change it to 32. 32. There we go. Now let's see how we can texture on this head. Very, very simple. Let's make the majority of the body kind of a grayish white. I'm just testing right here. We are not actually at the texturing stage. You cannot freely draw on the body yet, but we will get there very soon. And then if we go to root, the head is still transparent. That is very unusual. I guess we're gonna have to find a way to convert vanilla parts so that we can do 320 by 320. Alright. Edit. Convert vanilla parts. File, save, edit. Convert vanilla parts, file, save. File, load. Clear models. Geither. Load. And the UV is massive still. It's not been successfully converted. This is a confusing bug. I wonder what convert to template does. Save. Edit. Convert template. Yes. And that does just about nothing. Okay. Load. Clear models. Geither. By 20. Alright, this seems to be working somewhat. Edit, add second layer, add second layer, add second layer. I need to remove the second layer somehow. wanting to draw onto that second layer, which we can't have happening. You see the texture is not loading, it's not processing properly. I will be back when I have found a solution to this problem. Hello! Welcome back to making a custom player model. Here we have this character that we were working on earlier. I did figure out how to fix the texture glitch. It kind of just fixed itself. If you're having the same glitch, I wouldn't be able to help you. Just keep trying it over and over again until it works. Keep resetting your Minecraft, keep resetting your computer, and eventually it'll do its job. Next, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to organize your texture UVs before you can properly texture your character. So you see, you have all these things set to mode color. I've already done some of the textures here, or at least organized some of the UVs here. And you can see they're at mode texture, and they have this little highlighted box down here for where the texture actually is stored. Now we're going to want to turn to here. Go to your next cube, scrolling all the way down. Those two are already organized. So you go to the next cube. After you go down like this, until you find one that has mode color, change to mode texture, change you to something big, like 222, 255. 255 is the max. And we'll change it to 255, 150. As you can see, and move this tiny little box down here. And you're going to want this tiny little box to be separate from all the other tiny little boxes, and you can check it in texture to make sure that it's separate from all the tiny little boxes. You can see it's highlighted right there, and it's separate from the other tiny little boxes. And we go back to model, and it seems we can lower it down a little bit to make more space for other textures. So let's go on ahead and do that. And there you go. We have lowered it down, made more space for the textures. Next we're going to go back to model, and repeat the same process for every single cube that you've made. Now this is a long and laborious process, but I'd say in the end it's worth the wait. $50. $255. 150. Move that up a bit. Make sure that it's not connecting. Yep, they're far enough apart. Now you can put these closer together, but make sure as long as they're not overlapping, you'll be fine. Texture. 225. 100. No, 255. That was incorrect. And make sure, if you don't see these UVs here, make sure you go to display and click display all UVs. It's very important. I'll get back to you once I have all these UVs organized. Alright, we have just finished organizing our UVs. If I go back to the skin editor and load my file, we will see that, yeah, everything's transparent and looks weird. Now, you see, this is actually what we're supposed to be doing. So if we put on display all UVs, you can see here, all these UVs are neatly organized out so that none of them are overlapping. Now this is crucial if you want to have textures that are differing. So none of these textures are overlapping. I did the biggest texture size personally because I like having lots of room to work with in case I want to add more parts to the model later. These are all just like each individual block. So if I color here, it'll color that there. Hey, it's a little smiley. Happy fish. Have that be a happy fish. It's a cute fish. So, now we have that little fella hanging out there. And we can draw directly on the texture, however we so choose. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Chrono, how do I draw on the textures if I can't see them? Well, we have a solution for that. Save skin. Player models. Damn it. Fill this. Alright. Save and exit. Now go to your Minecraft directory. And you should see a PNG file with the done diddly name you gave it. Damn it, fill this is mine. Now you want to make sure that this PNG stays at the exact same proportions. So, open with paint. Why not? Control click. Okay. And then let's go on ahead, fill in the entire sheet. And then you're going to want to get thick size. And you're just going ahead, sweep all over. Plus. Is there any way to zoom in and zoom out? Doesn't seem to be. But just keep a careful eye. I would normally recommend filling this in with black so it's a little bit easier to see. Red. Red, not black. Black is hard to see when you import it onto the model. But red is very good and very vibrant, and it's very good for highlighting which areas in the model you still need a texture. So once that is done, save. And we have Damn It Fill This. A nice blank sheet of this flat color. Now you're going to want to go back to your folder. For me, it would be in the Draconic Legacy. Open. Snap it there. You want to go here, go to Player Models, put Damn It Fill This back in there, so it's easier to access. Go back to your Minecraft, open Skin Editor, load, Player Models, Gyther, which is the name of my player model. Skin settings, open skin, player models, Damn It Fill This. And there we have it. All of those textures neatly filled in their own regard. Now you might be thinking to yourself, but wait, I wanted some of these edges to be transparent. I don't want the wings to be all blocky. I don't want the tail spines to be all blocky. I want them to look cool. So, this is the part where you start to actually erase segments of the different areas. So let's start with the tail. For my example, it is. We'll select this cube of the spine. Make sure it's only drawn selected. Take the eraser and hit it at an angle where you can see your eraser marks with the lighting. See? You can very tinily see those little eraser marks. That was a slight mistake. So we're going to etch in a pattern of spines. Now once you have it etched on that side, you go to the other side and repeat. Now make sure that you have only drawn selected for this, otherwise you're going to fuck up your model and you're going to have to do the previous step over again. Make sure you also don't delete any cubes you plan on keeping. And there you go, we have a nice outline of some spines. And now I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest of the tail, and then I will start recording again once I am working on the wings. Hello, welcome back. Now we are going to be working on the wings of the model. This is a pretty basic tutorial on how to get symmetry correct with these models. I just finished the tail, as you can see. I finished the transparency edits on the tail to add those nice spines and spikes and a nice little reaper tail at the end. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to the body, go to the left wing, hide everything that you don't need right now, and we just need this little segment here. Not that. There we go. Now we're just going to need this area right here. Now first, we're not going to work on this area here, this area up here. We're going to work on the feathers. So first, you got to acknowledge that feathers, they work a little wonky. And you're just going to mostly want to do a pattern like this all throughout. Not sure how well you can see that. But, I'll have to remove the arms real quick. Arm, hide, 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 hide. There we go. Now we should have better access to the wings. And we're going to want to go back to this cube here. Then you want to zoom in on the other side. Make sure you get all those pixels in. Make sure you get at an angle where you can see it. And just neatly trim those feathers into the shape that you want them to be. Nice. Now we have that side done. Now what you're going to want to do before you move on to the next part of the wing is you're going to want to go back to your right wing. You're going to want to go to New Cube, or whichever your directory is. Oh, that's right arm. That's not right wing. Left wing. Is it left wing that we're looking for? Left wing 2, so that would be the right wing. Make that visible. Make that invisible. And I'm going to want to take a peek-see at this. Go to this new cube again. Seems to be a little bit asymmetrical, but I think that's okay. Now, I know it's hard to see, but I hope that some of this will hopefully come out decent. Two. Now, if your model isn't symmetrical, this is not going to work. You have to make sure your model is perfectly symmetrical first. Of course, because you have to have the symmetrical amount of pixels as well. So they have to be the same size, same proportions. And you cannot just overlap the textures when you're in UV editing. That is false. It will not flip the texture how you want it to. Trust me on that. For example, well, I'm not going to do it actually. I'm not going to actually go ahead and show you what happens if you overlap the UVs. I think it's pretty easy to deduce what happens. Control click. And there we go. We got the feathers lined up on those two parts of the wings. And now this is a pretty simple repeating process where you just take this and show it, and then hide the next segment. Go to here, go to this cube. we go. That's a pretty nice pattern. Mirror it on the other side. Now you might need to go in and hide this cube so that it doesn't overlap. There we go. Now we can properly get at those cubes. And yeah. Just don't be afraid to hide parts if you need to. And I will continue this process until the wings are done. Now remember, importantly, that once you go out to the wing tips, the angle does not go straight down. The feathers do not go straight down. Just research some basic bird anatomy, or not wolf anatomy, but dragon anatomy or bat anatomy, and then you can get those feathers pointed properly in the right direction. It's like a fan. It goes out and up. So yeah, I will be back when I'm done with this process. Hello, we are back. I have decided to skip a few steps and move on to the texturing. We were on the texturing last time, fixing the UV layers, and I went on ahead and finished the texturing myself off camera because I figured that if I'm definitely not able to teach you how to do basic art, basic pixel art at least, in a small tutorial, or at least I don't have the time to do that. So instead, here we have this this texture that I have completed. Now, if you want to learn how to do pixel art properly, you should probably refer to other people's guides, because they're probably better formatted and better put out than mine. And if you want to learn how to do glowing stuff, I can't really help you with that, because this is my first time trying to do glowing stuff, and I'm not the best at it, but the best way I can put it is that you need to make a separate block for the glowing layer. So and texture that in the color that you want it to glow. Think of it as transparent glowing glass. It's going to be transparent and it's going to glow. So you want it to be textured to look like a glowing radius, just like you would draw glowing effects in any other art program for any other art media. Now, going back to the texture that I finished, here we are. This is the texture I finished. Ignore the glitching with the wings. I'll fix that later. It's because I forgot to place the other layer. I forgot to paint the exact same wing shape onto the other layer, the other side of the zero thickness cube, which I did with these, and so they worked just fine. But I did not do that with the wings, so the wings are a little bit fucked up. But I will fix that later. As you can see, the claws glow, the eyes glow, the horns glow, and the end of the tail has a little bit of glow on it as well. This is a better example of what the model actually looks like. Has lots of horns, has lots of hair, fuzz, spikes. This is a character that I made in Ark Survival Evolved, and then I decided to import into Minecraft. So, let's move on to the animations tab, because that is what I'll be talking about in this recording. Moving on to the animations tab, as you can see, I've already gotten started a little bit. I've already added the pose global. A very simple little head bob animation with a little bit of tail wag going on. Very, very simple stuff. And now, you want to know, like, we articulated the different points of the movement, or the different joints, into segments earlier. If you do not put your things into segments like this, where it's organized by left wing, right wing, so you can rotate it at that joint, and then the entire wing will rotate. Or, for example, if we have the jaw here, I select the jaw, I can rotate that entire jaw at that pivot there, and not have to worry about the individual blocks. If you have set it up correctly, this is a tutorial for you. If you have not set it up correctly, then I'm sorry, but I can't really help you. That's just a whole mess to have to deal with. And I wish you the best of luck, but you may have to remodel your character. So let's subtract all this. Go back to root so you can kind of see the animation fully play out. Just a simple little animation. Very basic. And in this I'll also show you how to have certain layers or certain objects invisible during your animation or during certain frames of the animation. So for example, if you had a prop hammer, let's say this leg was a prop. I can go to frame 1, check visible. Alright, hold on, that's wrong. And then uncheck visible for that frame. And then it will only disappear for that frame. So that's a very helpful tip if you want to have characters have props that pop out of nowhere, or with the glow to start at one point and then stop at another. For this model, I won't be doing something as fancy as that. The only hide and unhide that we're going to be doing is for the wing feathers, because we want the wings to look as if they were, you know, functional. We want the feathers to look as though they fold inwards, instead of, you know, looking like this. Wait, hold on. See this piece of fluff sticking out? We don't want that. That looks bad. So we have it invisible for those 2 layers. 2 frames, I mean. And yeah, that is Gaither, and then we will be animating him today. Now we already have the pose for the global. A little bit of head bob. His head bob's a little bit over his neck, which I don't like very much. I might change that, though it's very unnoticeable. And now we have the pose walking, which I'm working on. Currently, in this version of the program that I'm using, there is no way to make your animation non-additive other than this way. So I left the arms additive as this example. If you edit, create a new custom pose, let's say sneaking, set it as not additive without the additive checked, it will still be additive. So you have to manually make it not additive. So at frame 0, you make sure it's frame 0. If it's not frame 0, you have to delete your animation right here and make a new one. At frame 0, you need to fix all of these little joints and all of these little places that move with the additive animation into place. So let's grab the left arm. As you can see, this is a weird little thing it does. If I do this, it does that. And we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the arms back up to their original position. Not there, more like that. Maybe rotate them a tiny bit to look more natural. Because this is a base pose where you'll be animating. This is supposed to be a very generic standing pose that you start off with for all of your animations. Or at least most of them. Alright. Check left arm coordinates. 5, -7. -5, so it would be -7. Back to this arm. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. You know what? Let's go a little bit simpler than that. Let's go simpler than that and have it be perfectly symmetrical to start off with. Because typically you can make an animation that's not symmetrical to start off with, but it's typically a bit more challenging to get a grip on, and a bit more challenging to animate further on. Since this is for simpletons, I will go on ahead and do this the basic way. Now we're also going to want to fold the wings from their default position. So raise them up like that. And remember, this is a walking animation, so you're going to want the wings to go back a little bit further than the relaxed standing position, because it needs to have room to compensate for the legs. So we'll go all the way back here, all the way back to about there. And you may say to yourself, what? That looks like shit. Well, it's not going to forever. check the measurements on the other wing. 4. And let's fold it back just about there, I'd say. Now it's a little bit asymmetrical, but don't worry too hard about it. It's really not that big of a deal. If anybody actually notices a slight asymmetry in game, it'll just make it look more natural, because, you know, not everything in life is symmetrical. So don't worry about the symmetry too hard. You'll just make yourself stressed, and it'll suck. Alright. Next, removing the next segment of the wing. And, yeah. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's like stop-motion animation. You have to pause it and then play it. You have to pose every individual frame. The next frames will be easier because you have an original pose to start off with. This is the original pose that we're starting off with for this animation. You don't want to bend that all the way up. Give it plenty of room. Seems about right. Yeah, that seems about right. And we bend you. God, I hate those glitching wings. I'm gonna have to fix that pretty soon, otherwise it's gonna drive me crazy. You see these little feathers sticking out here? We're not going to have to worry about those because we can just hide them. Easy peasy. And then the wings will look actually natural, like they're not broken. Alright, so we go to these cubes here. Uncheck visible. Uncheck visible. And it looks like a somewhat natural wing. Albeit this model's pivots are not the best. I kind of changed them up a little bit to be a little bit more strange and unique. If you want your pivots to be perfect bird anatomy, then this is not the place for you. You're going to want to change your model edit to make sure that the pivots are exactly on the same point as each other. Mine are not, because I wanted to mess around a little bit, and I guess I just didn't really get it right. Also, honestly, I think it looks right the way it is, but that little spit sticking out there is not something you want on an actual bird. That means that the bird's bones are broken. Alright, so now that we have the standing frame, I want you to click Add Frame. And now we have 2 frames of this character standing in place, doing nothing. Now, you're going to want to animate this frame. Hide the body. Let's say we want this arm to go back. This arm to go forward. This leg go back. And this leg go forward. Now we have about 1/5, I'd say, or 1/4 of an animation. We're also going to add some tail movement, I think, because I like the tail movement. know what? I think I want to delete frame 2. Layer 1. And I think that I want to have the tail a bit more curved. So let's say you want to have the tail a bit more curved. So the struggling part is that either you could do it manually or you could do it automatically. And automatically is just as difficult as manually, surprisingly enough. You have to go to either you delete frame 1 and redo it, and change frame 0 to have the appropriate tail rotation, or you simply change both frames to have the exact same tail rotation and move on. So we're going to want to set this back to 0. Going to want to set this. Nah, let's not set that. 28. 28. Let's go on ahead and have the tail kind of drag a little bit, but then curl at the end to compensate for space. So let's have the tail curl up a bit here. Up a bit here. And up a bit here. Quite a bit of a curl going on, but that's okay. 58. $54. 42. And now, as you can see, it stays the same. Can I rotate that a little bit further, or did I rig that incorrectly? Yeah, that's an area I rigged incorrectly. I just had this segment lead directly into this and have these without a joint. So if I were to pivot this block here, it would not affect the blocks attached to it. And that is a bad thing. That was a mistake on my part. So I cannot have that tail curled further inwards. Which is alright. It doesn't look too bad. But it would have been nice to have it curl in a little bit more inwards. So make sure that you remember to rig your models correctly. Check, make sure we're still recording. Yep. And then, yeah. Number 1. Two, 3, 2. So his right arm was moving forward. Let's have it move forward a little bit more. Quite a lot more, actually. Let's have this one move backwards. Just a smidge so that it doesn't overlap the wing too much. Oh, look at that paw. That's a vicious paw. It's a good angle. It's a good pose. Now we want the right leg to move backwards a little bit more. And then the left leg to move forwards a little bit more. Alright. 4. Let's go ahead and move that back. Make sure those are symmetrical. 0. Just set it as 0.0. We're not going to bother with the semi-rotation that we did in the other frame because it's not going to be noticeable. Because this is a temporary frame. Well, all frames are temporary, but you know what I mean. It's going to go by pretty quickly. Alright, and then we rotate this arm forward. Forward. Rotate this arm backwards. Which direction were these legs going in? Alright, so this leg goes back here. Play it. There's one frame missing. And that's a pretty okay walking animation. Not perfect, but it's pretty okay. For walking animations, generally you don't want to move the individual joints of the digileg. As somebody who's walked in digileg stilts, I'm experienced with the movement that you'd experience for a bipedal digigrade animal. You're going to want those joints to not move at a simple walking pose. At a running pose, however, this is different. Running, you have longer bounds, and this back foot perks up a little bit more. Do a little bit more tail movement, I'd say. That looks pretty good. Now let's say we want a little bit more tail movement. Going ahead and bend some things. Because I want this tail to be very active. Make it super active. Almost on the ground here. Well, dragging on the ground a little bit. Just taps on the ground lightly. This with a little bit more movement. There we go. That looks pretty nice. That does not look too shabby. We've got the glowing tip of the tail. Looking very nice there. Have a little bit of head bobbing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that would be a little bit more work than it's worth. Just to test and see if it would look nice. go. That looks pretty okay. Global pose. Walking pose. Let's have the hands tilted outwards a little bit. Like they are in the global pose. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change that to 340. And then we'll compare it with the other side to see if it looks better. That's a little bit past 340. 0. I would say the one with the arm more out looks a little bit more fresh and lively. So let's set it to 20. The counterpart of that same measurement for the other arm. And there we go. That's a pretty solid walking animation. Make sure you save. And yeah, that looks pretty okay. Maybe I do want to do that little head animation. Set, what was the position in global? 12.5, 1. Let's just do -12 to simplify things. 1. $12, 1. 12, 1. 12, 1. 12, 1. 12, 1. 12, 1. There we go, that looks pretty nice. That looks very nice, in fact. And there you go, that is how you would animate a basic walk cycle. If you want to do run cycles or anything more complicated, I would recommend talking to another animator or getting some hands-on support. Additionally, video tutorials for any other kind of physical or 3D animation can be very helpful. I would recommend looking at stop motion, particularly. And yeah, that is a very basic walk cycle. And that is likely the end of my, well, I'll do a demo. I'll do a demo at the end showing what this thing looks like once I finish all the animations, but this is likely the end of my, custom player models tutorial. Or whatever you want to call this mess of a video. I hope you enjoyed, and, hope somebody found this useful at some point in the time. And, yeah, that's about all I gotta say. See ya.